on this episode.
What can we get out of the car? It's going to burn to the ground. What can we get out of the car?
Man, boys, that felt awesome. It was so great to be back in the car.
Titans hug 4-.
This doesn't look good for our championship.
This is Launch Control. It's been a transformative and drawn-out off-season filled with driver lineup changes, COVID delays, a collapsing championship, and dire announcements. But now, Subaru Motorsports USA is finally poised to take to the stages for the first time in 2020 at the Southern Ohio Forest Rally.
There's a lot of pressure going into this rally, a lot of things that are kind of outside of our control, but at the same time, I know my job. I'm the lead driver on this team, and my job is to win this championship.
No one else has the experience of this rally yet, and we're all going into it with fresh notes and seeing the roads for the first time. So it'll actually give me, I think a little bit better chance to just be on pace.
When we heard about Southern Ohio, I was excited, and so any new rally is an exciting rally.
Leading the team onto the stages is the 2017 ARA champion, Travis Pastrana, and the pressure is on.
Definitely the toughest competition this year is going to be Barry. We didn't make it to the first round, and he's ready to drive. He's ready to go. He knows he can throw out one. We probably won't have that luxury.
Pastrana's here to take the team to a title.
Well, Travis is the proven champion. He's won 5 titles in the U.S. He brings this wealth of experience with the U.S. Championship.
But the competition is steep this year.
Ken was there, Barry was there, these are all fast guys. Everyone wanted to go out and have a good showing, show that we still had pace, show that our new guy had some pace.
For Brandon Semenuk, the expectations are different.
3, 2, 1, go.
He's had limited seat time in these top-level Subarus.
Going into this first event, I want to have like a solid first event. I want to make sure I get through it because I need all the experience I can get in this car. Obviously, if I don't make it halfway, I lose so many miles of what could be experience to take to the next events.
As a competitor, however, Semenuk will want to prove he belongs at the top.
This is, don't go wide, late, deep.
Wow, that was lucky.
To need 2 right minus, half long.
Back with Pastrana. He's got some rust to shake off, dropping over 10 seconds to McKenna, but remains in front of Block and Semenuk.
We have to adapt very quickly, find our pace very quickly, but definitely we can't afford to take a DNF.
With just 6 stages in the abbreviated rally, Pastrana knows he needs to rebound fast. That's when things take a turn. There's an engine fire, and it's escalating quickly.
There was not a lot of information around the paddock at the time because there was nobody on stage. There were no fans out there. Reception was limited. We couldn't get a whole lot of information about what was happening with the cars.
He came over the crest, and pretty much immediately I saw that there was some fire under the passenger side of the car.
What can we get out of the car? It's going to burn to the ground. What can we get out of the car? I don't care, there's something.
I ran down there to make sure they were all right and getting out of the car, and they both did.
Big fire truck!
Human life's never replaceable. Cars are always replaceable. Any material object's second to a human life.
From there, the question was, can the car be salvaged? Is there anything that can be fixed? Anything that can be saved out of the car?
And then pictures start to roll in, and the car's up in flames. There's nothing left to it.
And it became immediately obvious that there was nothing that was going to be saved from that car. And we were going to have to start over again with a whole new plan for the rest of the season.
We've got 30 years of experience with the team, and that's the first time that a car's ever had a failure like that.
It's a total loss. Like that car will never really do anything or be anything again.
Having your top runner, your best guess for hopefully winning the event, just on stage 2, come around a corner and the car on fire. It kind of felt, like 2020.
So that was it. It was like, well, this car's gone. We use our assets. Some people go figure out the recovery. The rest of us go pile onto the other car and help out the team. And you get through the rally and you figure it out later.
Brandon Semenuk and co-driver John Hall arrive at service. The team's still coming to terms with the scale of the disaster. On the one hand, the rally continues. There are still 4 more stages and a car chasing championship points. But on the other hand, their season strategy just took a massive U-turn.
Oh, it's going. It was a tough couple of stages to start with. Lots to learn still, but we're definitely improving, learning the car really quick. But yeah, there's a lot more pace to find, so I just gotta keep working at it, and hopefully the next couple legs go well. Everything okay in the back? Yep.
The crew focus on getting Brandon to the end of the event. Whatever pressure was on the team before just ratcheted up a notch.
I'm devastated right now. This doesn't look good for our championship, but I know Semenuk's doing great out there. There's a great battle for second place right now, and I'm gonna stay here and cheer him on until the wee hours of the morning. So really disappointed, devastated for the team. That was a pride and joy. That car was amazing.
Historically, this car holds a place in the record books.
The cars you see out there have good history on them. They've done several years.
This is the car that he has a record at Mount Washington in. This is the car he won the championship in.
That was the car that went to Goodwood Festival of Speed.
These vehicles have personal connections to us as mechanics because we spend so much time on them.
I know it's just steel and wires and everything, but it's you get an attachment to them over time. And I built that car new. That was one of the early projects I had here. Like myself and a couple other people built that car from a road car into a race car.
It was a piece of the history of the team, and to lose that was a tough loss too, because if you lose a shell, you lose a lot along with it.
And then to have it lost in what seems like an instant was incredibly shocking.
That was, I guess, a lot more than just steel and wires and zip ties.
Maybe it just needed one more story.
While one story ends, another picks up. At the team's regular Rallycross test facility in New Hampshire, a familiar face is stepping back into a race car for the first time in almost a year. For Scott Speed, this is another small but significant step in his return to racing.
Him getting back in the car and testing with us again and being that identity of a racing driver again was a huge, huge moment for all of us.
August 2019. Scott was on his way to a strong result at the Nitro Rallycross race in Utah. On a small, inconsequential jump, a hard, flat landing damaged 3 vertebrae in his back.
When I hit the ground, I knew immediately that I broke my back.
his season was over.
And like that fear from there on the way to the first hospital, I've never been that scared in my life. It was pretty crazy.
He set off on a long and arduous recovery.
Winter rehab has been a long journey.
Together, Scott and the team worked to find his way back into the race seat.
There were no assurances that Scott was going to come back. And so we tried to just make sure Scott's recovery is progressing as it should. Let's not push him in any way. When he is ready to get back in the car, he gets back in the car.
It seems to be picking up pace now, but the beginning part of the rehab took longer than anticipated. Just, lying around in a cast, basically waiting for yourself to heal was one step of it. That was a couple months. And then there was, the starting to gain movement and fitness, which has been the much more fun part. But in either case, it's definitely been a long road.
Step by step, the hard work paid off, and the doctors determined that a return was possible.
Once he found out from his doctors that it seemed reasonable for him to race again, I don't think he had anything else on his mind, but getting the fitness, getting the strength, getting the bone density, making sure that his back was exactly where it needed to be so that he could be back in the car as soon as possible.
So we're here to do an engine durability test with Scott. So we worked on the off season to address issues we had with the engine, and then it's also an opportunity for Scott to get back in the car and get back up to speed again.
It might just be an endurance test, but for Scott and the crew, it's a welcome return to the inner workings of a race team.
When he came back, he was in great shape, physically and mentally. He was ready to go. It was great to see him back in the car.
Kind of strange because it's a long time, without seeing Scott in a seat.
So to go faster, it's the right pedal. Slower, it's the middle one.
Okay. After 4 months of not moving at all, like even walking around the block was a struggle at the beginning. So I'm starting to feel a lot more like myself.
That felt awesome. It was so great to be back in the car. Woo! Good to have you back, to be honest.
Quickly after the first outings, he was back, hitting his marks and giving us the consistent lap times that he's known for, and he felt great, and we were able to take everything forward from there.
Strange feeling?
Like it feels totally normal, but I kind of forget the processes aren't. The habits aren't there. First time back in the car was pretty special. Obviously, it's been a long time, but for the most part, it felt a little bit like riding a bike. It just put me at ease that I'm sort of back, doing what I was meant to do.
I think on Rallycross it's so intense that the relationship between engineer and driver needs to exist. It's not because we are not racing that the relationship stops.
It has so much power down low. I want to bring the engine there because that makes my power band longer.
I do really enjoy working with Scott as a development driver. He's pushing me and I'm pushing him.
At this stage, we're preparing to go racing, it looks like next year. And it doesn't mean the work stops. Everybody doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. So we just got our head down and continue improving our race car. And so when the time does come that we all get out there and race against everybody, we'll be ready.
Back at the Southern Ohio Forest Rally, Brandon Semenuk and John Hall must now focus their attention on the battle for second place against longtime team rival Ken Block. The Subaru crew is trailing Block by 11 seconds after 2 stages.
3, 2, 1, go. Start 250. Hug left over crest 30. Curve slowing after crest.
On the long 16-mile Top Gun stage, Brandon hammers home a 19-second advantage to leap back into second place. Night stages are more common on the Canadian Championship, where Semenuk cut his teeth. and is trying to use that to his advantage.
Needs 3 right minus.
But Block strikes back on stage 4 to reclaim the position. With 2 stages to go, Semenuk launches another attack on the repeated Top Gun stage to move back into second.
And hug ball left.
After an hour and 16 minutes of rallying, the fight for second is down to just 7 seconds. Just a single stage remains. Semenuk and Hall know the car has to get to the finish, but it's always hard to back down from a fight. An errant rock in the middle of the road forces the decision.
Hug 3 left, don't go wide. Hug left right line over crest. Slowing dip, we're almost at the end.
Yeah.
3 left minus nips. Cut 1 right plus.
Semenuk is limping. He loses 20 seconds to Block on the final stage, but manages to hold on to third.
Wow. Sorry about that, John.
That's all right.
I don't even know. Now what?
Well, we got to get back to service now. That's the challenge. So we may have.
I got a text message from Brandon and John Hall, and they said we took a big knock on the left rear, and we're on 3 wheels, but we're going to make it back. We're slowly going to make it back. I walked down to the finish, and as he pulled in, the car was worse for wear. He had hit a big rock on the left rear, and it knocked him into the ditch. Somehow he was able to get out, and this was right before the finish of the last stage. As soon as he pulled into the lights under the building we were in, and I saw the car and I saw him, and he had a big smile on his face, and John had a big smile on his face, it just made everything a little bit better, because we've got this young guy who's super stoked that he made it back, that pushed hard all evening, had a great showing for Subaru of America.
Brandon Semenuk and John Hall.
It was an experience to say the least, and just stoked to finally be in the car and getting after it.
Like, he did exactly what he needed to do. He brought the car home, even despite the damage to the suspension. And for him to come out of his first round in the car with a podium and go into Ojibwe with that confidence, that was huge for him, and it was huge for all of us.
Yeah, it was just an incredible moment. Certainly a high point in such a dark evening.
Back in Vermont, the team shuts out the weekend's events and shifts their focus to the next rally, just 3 weeks away.
On the internet, there's a lot of comments about like, oh, we just have another car. It's like, we actually had to build one. We don't have spare cars like everybody thinks we do. It was a big push to get another car built before the next event.
Further intensifying the timeline, staff coming home from the rally had to quarantine before returning to work. A plan was put into motion.
Luckily, we had kind of a prepped shell, but it's still like not a big head start. We were trying to build a third car, and then all of a sudden we had to rush to finish it to have a second car again, and we ate up all of our spares.
We happen to have a spare shell just for when there's a bad day, and we scrambled to put it together and get it ready for the next rally, and hope it never happens again.
The team had worked their magic from bare chassis to ready-to-race rally car in a matter of days. Pastrana is back in business. Next time on Launch Control.
We went to Ojibwe with a brand new car.
We might just have to be 10/10 and kind of hope for some luck on our side.
25, bump nips.
Oh, shit. Oh,
You right?
Brandon is steering like crazy.
I think in the last stage of the day, we were all within 2 seconds.
30, 3 right.
We had a lot in the back of our minds. Was the fire an isolated incident? It's still an unknown for us.